Next on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
On this week's special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll preview the 2010 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show with interviews featuring industry experts, speakers, and entertainers.
And now, a special edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Thanks for joining us. Topping this week's cattle industry news, NCBA is launching a court challenge of the Environmental Protection Agency's greenhouse gas endangerment finding. The rule provides the foundation for EPA for the first time to regulate greenhouse gases from sources throughout the economy, including farms, ranches, office buildings, and schools. NCBA Chief Environmental Counsel Tamara Thies says NCBA has filed a petition against the regulation with D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals.
We, like every other industry essentially in this country, do emit greenhouse gases. And so when you emit them, then you can potentially be regulated under this rule. And if you start going down that path, imagine all the lawsuits that can be brought against any entity that emits greenhouse gases in this country and all the blame that can be placed and the damages that can be filed for alleged environmental consequences of our greenhouse gas emissions. I mean, it's just mind-boggling what could happen. NCBA is appealing this decision because we do not believe that the science behind man-made climate change is settled. And that is one of the criteria that the EPA must establish before they decide to go forward and regulate anything, is look at the science and determine if what they're looking at is really a problem for the environment or not.
The petition was filed by NCBA and a coalition of interested parties. It's the first step in asking the D.C. Court of Appeals to overturn EPA's rule. As we reflect on the results of 2009, it's also important to look ahead into what 2010 may hold for the beef cattle industry. And joining me in the studios today is the Chief Executive Officer of NCBA, Forrest Roberts. Forrest, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
Well, as we reflect back on 2009, what would you identify as some of the key successes of NCBA this past year?
I would say, Kevin, that it would start with early in the year, we looked at the need to have a strategic plan just for NCBA. And one of the things that came out of that strategic plan was a need to focus in on more about our purpose and what we stand for and what we hope to accomplish in this industry. And that purpose was defined as to earn the right to be the trusted leader and definitive voice of the beef industry. So that was one of the first cornerstones of what I would see to be a success of 2009. A couple of other things, and as you well know, we are a proud contractor to the National Beef Checkoff Program, which is administered by the Cattlemen's Beef Board. And there were 2 or 3 projects in some of the work that we did there that I think stand out in 2009. First is what we call the MBA program, the Masters of Beef Advocacy program, which is all about training producers on how to become those advocates and those spokespersons, if you will, for the industry and really tell their story about how beef is produced in their operations. And that's a program that we've got over 1,600 producers certified in now. So that's a really neat highlight for 2009. We then took that and took a little more aggressive tactic with what we called a food fight campaign. And that campaign was all designed to be able to have those, and some of those producers that participated in the MBA program, be able to use tools like letters and newspaper ad placements to be able to then take on some of the activists that are out there in the world we live in, and really, again, tell the story of about how beef is produced in this country, but I think more specifically in a way that just demonstrates the thanks that we have to the farmers and ranchers across this country. So those would be a couple there. And the last one that was really neat and exciting to see is what we call our Beef 101 briefings.
Okay.
And those are briefings, and if you think about the new administration that's in D.C. today, it's an opportunity to educate lawmakers and their staff about, again, how beef is produced in this country, but also educate them on some of the issues that are important to the cattle industry. Issues like food safety, issues like appropriate or proper administration of antibiotics. So, you know, if I back up and look at 2009, starting with our strategic plan and our MBA program, our food fight campaign, our Beef 101 briefings, those are some things that really stand out to me.
Real cornerstones. Well, we'll project ahead to 2010. You've hit on a couple of the issues, but what would you identify as some of the key issues for the beef industry in 2010?
I would say 2010 starts with the look in the global world of what's happened with our economy.
Sure.
And when we think about that impact in our industry, it starts with looking at that picture of beef demand. Beef demand has softened, as you well know, and there's been some trade-offs that consumers are making and have been making. So that has a direct impact to what does concern us is the area of profitability and the shrinking position of profitability for a lot of beef producers across the country. So when you think about the changes in our infrastructure as a result of that and what's happening in our economy with the recession, that would be top of mind. When we think about our business environment, some of these real key issues that would maybe become legislation that would impact these farmers and ranchers across the country, those are absolutely top of mind here in 2010. And I think that when we talk about export access, and market access into some of these key export markets like Japan and China, that still remains to be at a very, very high level of a priority and a challenge that we're continuing to work through. So those would be some that I would highlight as we think about 2010 and as we head into this year.
Clearly next week, a number of people are going to gather in San Antonio for the annual industry convention. And I'd be interested to know, what are some of the key issues you think are going to be discussed and voted on down at that convention?
Well, it's going to be a neat opportunity for folks around the country, not just in the great state of Texas, but folks around the country to be able to convene and take a deeper look at some of these issues I was just referencing. So specifically, when you think about our business environment and some of these issues that we're facing in Washington, D.C., whether it be on estate tax, or commonly known as the death tax, or issues that center around climate change, or EPA regulation, or even what's happening now with some of these competition hearings in looking at how cattle are marketed in this country, those, I guarantee you, will be some really specific issues that folks will have an opportunity to take a little deeper look at our annual meeting. I think when you look at the area of beef demand, the strategies around how we turn the corner and increase beef demand, as well as open some of these export markets, will be top of mind in the discussions in San Antonio. But last but not least, our organization is going through a lot of change. And the ability to look at how we make more effective, more efficient business decisions is what has been the work of a producer-led task force over the past 18 months. We call it the Governance Task Force.
Sure.
So we're looking at some pretty major changes to our governance structure, and the concept of that structure will be voted on in San Antonio at our Board of Directors meeting after there's a lot of discussion around the pros and the cons of it. And the ultimate outcome of that is, how do we make NCBA an organization that's more effective, more efficient, and more nimble, so that those decisions that are made in this organization truly impact the beef producers across this country in a positive way.
Sounds exciting. What would you tell people who may have never been to a convention like that? What would your message be to folks like that?
Well, I'm very excited about my first convention being in San Antonio. That's my home state, and that's my home area, so we're very excited about that. But if you think about the first part of why people come to a convention, it's the opportunity to be engaged in the process. So when we think about policy that's derived at the end of the week and voted on at that Board of Directors meeting, it starts with all of that grassroots input all the way through the committee process. All the ideas and the angles on the issues are vetted through that process. And so the first part would be the opportunity to engage. I think the second opportunity for folks coming to the meeting in San Antonio is to learn something in the way of education around production practices, maybe new methods that they can look at in their operation to be more effective, maybe more efficient, and even more profitable. So that would be a second one. A third one would be when you think about the opportunity to have a network and meet other like-minded producers. That's a great opportunity to expand your network and meet people from across the country that participate in the beef industry. And last but not least, we want to spend a few days there and also have a little entertainment and a little bit of fun. We're really proud to launch a very new initiative this year, and it's an NCBA Invitational, which is a PBR, Professional Bull Riders event that's sanctioned by the PBR.
Sure.
And so we're looking forward to wrapping up the week with that on Friday evening.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. We're going to get you on a bull, is that right?
Maybe.
Maybe. All right. Forrest, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you,
really
Kevin.
appreciate
you having me.
You bet. For more information on the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and the issues the organization is working on in 2010, visit beefusa.org. Ahead on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, we'll hear from NCBA Vice President Bill Donald about why he believes you should attend this year's annual industry convention and NCBA trade show. We'll be right back.
Howdy, I'm Baxter Black, inviting you all to saddle up to San Antonio. Join me and your fellow cattlemen in San Antonio, Texas for the 2010 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. This is the single most important meeting for anybody in the cattle business. So saddle up to San Antonio, January the 27th through the 30th, 2010. For more information, visit beefusa.org or call 303-694-0305.
Look, I know you think this is easy, but when I get done here, I gotta tag those calves, check on the foal, fix the fence, and that's all before Jack's game. We're not gonna miss this one. It's the last game of the season. Easy? This is living.
We understand animals make life better. That's why we put so much care into Purina Mills feeds.
I'd like a moment with you dairymen, and if you're watching this, I'll assume you're done milking, to talk about the Dairy Beef Quality Assurance Program. DBQA has been designed to reduce lameness, bruises, and impolite behavior in the dairy cows and calves and steers that you're going to market for beef. The point is to guarantee as best we can to your buyers and to the consumer that we know what we're doing, that we're treating our animals right, and that the meat they buy is safe and wholesome. Because every milk cow and dairy calf you sell is going to wind up on a plate someday, and we want to make sure that our consumers have a great dining experience, right? Dairy BQA helps furnish you with management tools and useful information to increase the value of the cattle you market. So I invite y'all to check it out at dbqa.org. See what it takes to be involved in your state. Because, well, it's the right thing to do.
Welcome back. The 2010 Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show is in San Antonio, Texas next week. We recently had the chance to ask several cattlemen why they think the meeting is so important to attend.
It's a great place, one, to meet people that have the same interests all across the countryside, as well as learn aspects of the industry that you can take back home to your operations and teach other people that maybe weren't able to come.
It's good to get out and to learn kind of what other people are doing and how it works, and just get a fresh ideas and share some of those ideas with other people also to keep people motivated, including myself.
Very glad I came. I've gotten a lot out of it, been to a lot of meetings and met a lot of nice people and got some perspective on other folks' problems and learned that, you know, we're not in this by ourselves. Everybody's pretty much in the same boat.
To see people, see friends, a lot of it's just interaction. You learn so much by visiting with people every year. I always go home feeling better about everything that I'm involved in.
It's just like anything else. If you're not there, you miss out on something. And part of the business that we're in is staying informed and involved. Otherwise, you get left behind. So they need to be there. If you're not there and involved in the process, you can't help shape the future of the business you're going to make a living from.
One of my favorite parts of the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and Trade Show is the opportunity to meet and network with fellow cattle producers. And joining me in the studio today is a fellow cattle producer who happens to be Vice President of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, Bill Donald. Bill, thanks for coming today.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Kevin.
Tell me this, why do you think it's so important from your perspective for cattle producers to be a member of NCBA?
Well, NCBA represents all cattle producers from all around the country. And we have a presence in Washington, D.C. with an excellent staff that monitor and advocate on over 50 issues every day. That's a lot of issues that hit cattle producers in their pocketbook and their way of life. It's also important to note that some of these issues have the ability or the potential of doing great harm. Issues like the death tax, like climate change. We have EPA regulations on dust and greenhouse gases. Those are all things that we need to monitor to keep cattle producers in business. We also want to keep in mind that there are activist groups out there that work every day to put us out of business. They threaten not only our way of doing business, but our very way of life. They're well funded. They've got hundreds of $millions and millions of members. And together, if we work together, we can counter that. But it takes all of us working together, speaking with one strong, clear, reasoned voice. And that's why NCBA, I think, is the outfit for the job.
That's great. Tell me this, what are some specific benefits that members receive when they become NCBA member?
Well, as in addition to all the issues we work on, if a person was to join before May 31st in 2010, we also have some benefits of a 500 milliliter bottle of Cydectin. And if you recruit another, if a member recruits another member, they will get a 500 milliliter bottle of Cydectin. And if you join NCBA as well as your state association, you'll get 2 bottles.
Outstanding.
We also have some discounts from John Deere, and then a 15% discount on Cabela's gift cards.
Perfect. So there's some real tangible benefits people can receive.
That's right. You can put those in the bank.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the convention next week in San Antonio. I understand that this could be a very big turning point, not just for the NCBA, but also for the industry. And Forrest just told us moments ago that we're going to have some fun there as well. Give us your perspective on the activities for next week.
Well, both of those are very true. It is going to be a turning point for NCBA. We're going to review the Governance Task Force recommendations that will impact the structure of NCBA, not only for 2010, but for all the challenging years ahead. It's important for people to come and have a voice in that, and we're going to have some fun as well. It's a great place to network with other cattle producers from all over the country. You can meet new friends and see some old friends. And then we're going to go and have something different this year. We're going to have a PBR Invitational Bull Riding event, and that is going to be just top-notch. And there's lots of the best bull riders from all across the country are going to be in that. Cody Lostra, who won the 2009 PBR
just a month
World
ago.
Championship. He also won at the Denver Stock Show. So there's some great entertainment that way, as well as country western singer who I can't think of right now.
Is it Darryl Worley?
Darryl Worley, yeah, he's one of my favorites, and he's going to be there. So that'll top off just an amazing night. So we're looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
It's not too late to register for the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show. For details, give us a call at 303-694-0305 or visit beefusa.org. We'll be right back.
These days, more cattlemen choose Draxxin to fight BRD than any other brand. Here's why.
It works. We have fewer repulls, and the ones that we do repull respond, and we have fewer chronics in the end.
To retreat anything it's a lot more expensive than using Draxxin as a first time.
And the evidence backs up what most cattlemen already know. Draxxin cuts retreats by 50%. So talk to your veterinarian and check the online calculator at Draxxin.com. You'll see why Draxxin should be your first choice to fight BRD.
Basically what it's allowed us to do with our operation is run more cattle through in a given period of time. It's just really been a good product to use.
Do not use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older. Do not use in calves to be processed for veal. Draxxin has a pre-slaughter withdrawal time of 18 days. Please visit Draxxin.com or call 1-888-DRAXXIN for more information.
Workin' Ranch Magazine savvies the challenges and rewards of those who make a living on the ranch. From pretty loops in the Brandon Pen to cold nights calving heifers, we cover the real deal. Subscribe today. Go online to workinranchmag.com or give us a call. We'll fix you right up. You can also visit us in person at the NCBA Convention in San Antonio. Workin' Ranch, your magazine.
From fresh tomatoes to potatoes and chicken to beef, we're as picky about our quality ingredients as you are. Because that's what we're made of.
Welcome back. One of my favorite parts of the Cattle Industry Annual Convention is the Cattlemen's College, sponsored by Pfizer Animal Health. Joining us in the studio today to tell us a little bit more about Cattlemen's College is Ellen Gibson, the Executive Director of the Beef Innovations Group, their National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about Cattlemen's College for folks that may not have ever been.
Sure. Well, this is its 17th year.
Wow.
And it's my first time being in it, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
And the college has a wide variety of courses that are offered to people that are in the beef industry, and then the courses are given by experts in different fields, in the environmental field, maybe in the talking about the political landscape, in the business arena with marketing, and also in communications with things like the new social media and ways to communicate.
Well, as you mentioned, you're giving one of the presentations this year, and maybe you can give us a little highlight and preview of what that workshop's all about.
I'd love to. It's called Marketing You Incorporated, and it gives a general overview of what marketing is, and then we focus in on strategic positioning statements so that companies can make sure that they're giving a message to their customer that differentiates them from the competition, and that message also has value to consumers and gives them a reason to buy their product. And in the class, we'll have examples, we'll have worksheets for attendees to fill out, and then we'll also give them tools like a marketing plan outline and a resource to gather data that they can leave with and go use as soon as they get back to their operations.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, now you're part of a really important group at NCBA, the Beef Innovations and Culinary Group, is that right?
Right.
And I'd be interested to know some of the things that your group does and a little bit about what we can expect in the coming year.
Okay, well, we're all about thinking about the future. So a lot of what we do is new recipes, new cuts. Right now we're working on the round and adding value to the round. And then also, very important, getting beef into more convenience items so that, you know, everybody these days just doesn't have time to cook barely.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure that they can heat up something with beef in it that it's healthy and delicious. And so we're working on things like that. So always thinking about recipes and cuts that will make our consumers happy and enjoying beef.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you. It's just such an honor. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you in San Antonio.
Okay.
You can learn more about Cattlemen's College by calling us at 303-694-0305 or by visiting us at beefusa.org.
Discover a great roundup for beef producers. Now, Boehringer Ingelheim Vetmedica Incorporated has rounded up the top brands of animal health products. You bet your boots you won't find more ways to protect your cattle. So trust the leader to protect your cattle. Trust Boehringer Ingelheim. Talk to your Boehringer Ingelheim animal health representative and discover how we can help your operation.
Howdy, I'm Baxter Black, inviting you all to join me and your fellow cattlemen in San Antonio, Texas for the 2010 Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. This is the largest, most important event for anyone in the cattle business. Saddle up for San Antonio for education, for fellowship, and a cutting-edge trade show featuring over 300 exhibitors. You can't afford to miss this one. It's time to saddle up for San Antonio. For more information, visit beefusa.org or call 303-694-0305. I'll see y'all there.
2 100% pure USDA inspected patties are only the beginning of what make the Big Mac famous, and that's what we're made of.
Welcome back. No doubt winter is here, and in much of the West, early snows and cold have added pressure to the daily chores of many cattlemen. Raising cattle is a year-round business, and winter brings real challenges, especially in big feed yards. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter takes us to northeast Colorado to find out the challenges of finishing livestock in the winter.
Just because winter is here, that doesn't mean things are slowing down at the Dinklage feed yard in northeastern Colorado.
This is the time of the year when every feed yard earns their keep. I mean, it's a feast or famine in this business, and when the cattle are available is when you've got to be ready to go to work, come rain, sleet, snow, or hail.
Manager Todd Sigmund knows feeding cattle in the winter can be a challenge thanks to the wind, snow, and cold. It takes planning and foresight in order to make sure the cattle receive the proper care. Disease prevention begins right when the cattle are first processed.
One of the biggest things that benefit us is knowing a little history on the livestock, knowing if the calves have been preconditioned, knowing if they've been weaned, source of origin, did they come through a sale barn, did they come direct from the ranch. We've got protocols set up to handle each of these, and we need to be able to identify the risk group that the cattle might fall into so that we can best maintain the health of the cattle as a whole. We've got an outstanding crew, we've got an outstanding veterinary consultant group that help us set up protocols to best handle the situations that might arise.
The winter environment can have a dramatic effect on the performance of cattle in the feedlot. At Dinklage, they know proper food and water go a long way towards helping to ensure the cattle stay healthy.
The feeding ration typically doesn't change that much. What does change is how we step and progress the cattle up. As we get into the calves, we take a little more time getting them used to the diet that they're eating, taking them along at a slower pace so that we don't get any issues on the feed side.
Cattle can thrive in cold weather as long as they are provided some protection from the wind and moisture. Improving the comfort of the cattle also helps reduce stress, which can lead to increased performance in the feedlot. At Dinklage, they keep a close eye on the condition of the animals as they go through winter.
This time of year we look for typical animal behavior. I mean, depression scores. If the animals are depressed, their head down, humped up, perhaps a snotty nose, runny eyes, things like that. Basically, we look for overall health. We want to make sure them animals are thriving, going to the bunk, going to the water, and comfortable.
Despite his busy schedule, Todd still takes time to keep track of the important issues facing the cattle industry. He also makes sure to attend the annual NCBA convention in order to have his voice heard in the decisions that will shape the industry.
I think it's important to be represented in the industry. I think we need to be there voicing our opinion. Policy is written by those that take time to show up. And if we want to have a voice in that fight, we need to be there. I think the biggest thing the industry can do is to have one voice united and to confront these issues, because they obviously have way more money and way more time on their hands than most of us. We need NCBA out there fighting for our cause.
All of these efforts during the winter will help make sure the feed yard is running at full steam when spring arrives. In Logan County, Colorado, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Dinklage is one of the nation's largest feed yard operations with 5 locations in Nebraska, Wyoming, and Colorado. You can learn more about their operation by visiting our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. You'll meet cattlemen from across the country at next week's industry convention and trade show, and maybe a few from around the world. Joining us in the studio today is Brendan Clark, professional bull rider. Welcome, Brendan.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Well, I've got to ask you, tell us a little bit about your background. I don't think that accent is from South Texas.
No, it's definitely not. I'm originally from Australia. I grew up in Australia until 23 years old is when I came to the States the first time, so I've been here about 7 years now. I grew up in a family full of rugby league players.
Okay.
So cattle and horses and bull riding wasn't really what I did growing up, but until when I was 6 years old was the first time I seen it, and decided I don't know why when you're 6 you think it looks pretty cool to do, but I tried it for the first time, and then I just got hooked. It's one of them things where that adrenaline rush is like nothing else. So I just dreamed of being able to come over here to the States as a little kid, and decided when I was about 23 that I wanted to see how good I really was, and I made the trip over here, and luckily for me, I've been able to stay here ever since.
No doubt about it. Well, I'm intrigued. I mean, how big is rodeo and bull riding over there? I'm intrigued about why you even chose a career, I guess, in bull riding, because I've never sensed that it was that big a deal in Australia.
Yeah, well, a lot of Australians ask me that question, why bull riding and how bull riding. But,
right.
The sport is pretty big in Australia. It's pretty popular, but there's just not a lot of money in it. So if you want to make a living out of it, you got to come to the States.
Gotcha.
We're trying to build the sport. The PBR has got locations all around the world now, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, and Australia, as well as the United States. So, we're growing the sport over there and trying to make it bigger and bigger over there and all around the world.
Certainly a number of our members have been to other PBR events, but maybe you can highlight what we might expect at this first ever NCBA Invitational PBR event in San Antonio.
Yeah, well, we're really excited about it. The professional bull riders and all the riders are really excited about the event. We don't have an opportunity to come and ride against, the best bulls in the world at smaller events all the time. We're going to have the last 6 years in a row, Stock Contractors of the Year. Chad Berger's going to be there, and
Wow.
HD Page. Top bull riders in the world, including Cody Lostro.
Yeah.
Myself and about 40 of the other bull riders in the world, the best bull riders in the world. So it's going to be an exciting thing. It's a great cause, and we a lot of us got a little bit of interest in the cattle business, and a lot of us own cattle, whether it be bucking cattle or registered cattle or just normal beef cattle. So we're all pretty excited about being down around that atmosphere, and it's going to be a great venue. And when you put the best bull riders in the world against the best bulls in the world, there's some going to see some pretty exciting stuff.
Well, I would guess that raising bucking stock may have been the only profitable segment of the beef industry this past year, so that's not a bad business.
Yeah, I suppose you could say that, but it's just like everything. You got to get that good one to make the money out of it, but it's a lot of fun along the way.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Brendan. We'll look forward to seeing you in San Antonio.
Thanks.
You can join us for the NCBA Invitational Professional Bull Riding event in San Antonio. For more information, call 303-694-0305 or visit beefusa.org. We'll be right back.
Are you hunting for membership value? Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association to enjoy an exclusive member benefit. 15% off Cabela's gift cards from NCBA for your cattle business. You can use the cards to purchase all of your favorite Cabela's merchandise. Join NCBA today to take part in this outstanding savings program in addition to all of the benefits of being an NCBA member. Visit beefusa.org.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The country's oldest cattle industry organization needs your support as we work each day representing your best interests in Washington, D.C.
NCBA is the voice of the people, if you will. I mean, I think it's extremely important they're out there protecting our interests while we're back home trying to make a living.
We see environmental concerns, we see animal rights concerns that we need to address, on a daily basis. I see NCBA as really our one united voice as far as those issues go.
There are big benefits to being a member, including the monthly magazine, The National Cattleman, as well as discounts on products and services from John Deere, Caterpillar, and Cabela's.
There's many reasons why somebody should become a member of NCBA.
It's easy to join NCBA. Just visit beefusa.org or call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF to sign up today.
Welcome back. As we've been discussing, there are a lot of fun and exciting activities at the Cattle Industry Annual Convention and NCBA Trade Show in San Antonio next week. And joining us in the studio today is Marvin Kokash, Vice President of Association Marketing for NCBA. Thanks for joining us, Marvin.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Well, first of all, tell us just a little bit about San Antonio. It's a pretty neat town.
Oh, it's a great city. It's actually one of our most popular cities for our convention.
Yeah.
If you've never been to San Antonio, there's a beautiful river walk with, just about over 100 restaurants. Different little, a lot of nightlife there.
Sure.
And there's a little boat that you can take along the river walk and see the sights, along with a lot of history.
Yeah.
The Alamo is there,
bet.
and you can take a nice tour of that. And again, just it's a great city to go to, and what makes it even better is there's a great cattlemen's convention going on.
Yeah, especially when we put a bunch of cowboys in town. Tell us a little bit about one of the events at the convention, which of course is the trade show, and
Yes.
that is a huge event that I don't think many people fully recognize and realize the value of that until they go.
Oh, absolutely, Kevin. We have over 270 exhibitors at this year's trade show, and really the companies that exhibit, and I've described this a lot to cattle producers, this is one of those shows where people who are really in the business, they just don't want to miss.
Yeah.
It's virtually every booth we have, it really ties to the industry, and our vendors really work to help create solutions for cattlemen so they can be more profitable.
Yeah, and I understand that we're going to do something a little unique called is it the Texas Fiesta or the San Antonio Fiesta?
Yeah, we're having a fiesta party
right.
on Thursday night. We had at the old train depot down in San Antonio.
Wow.
We have a big reception. We have the almost Patsy Cline band playing at this reception. So we've really changed a lot of our convention schedule to make it really a community feel, and we really want our guys to spend some time together and enjoy the convention. And you know, cattle producers work hard every day, and this is a great time for them to come together, learn, you know, have some great education through Cattlemen's College and some other through the trade show, and you know, catch up with old friends and make a lot of new ones.
You bet. I'm looking forward to a couple of the speakers. The fellow that had the Pursuit of Happiness, right?
Yes, Chris Gardner.
Oh.
He is fantastic, and if I could encourage everyone who's coming to the convention, rent the movie called The Pursuit of Happiness, and Will Smith played Chris Gardner in the movie, and he's speaking at our opening general session Wednesday afternoon. So
awesome.
It's going to be a great opening to a great convention.
Absolutely.
We're expecting around 6,000 attendees. So.
Wow.
A lot of cowboy hats, boots, and a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Marvin, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Kevin.
We'll see you next week.
All righty.
As we mentioned, it's not too late to attend the biggest cattle industry meeting and trade show in San Antonio next week. For more information, just call 303-694-0305 or visit beefusa.org. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tough trailers built for tough country. Big Ben Trailers manufactures a different kind of trailer, one that's built to put up with the rough conditions found on the ranch. Rugged build using heavy-gauge powder-coated steel and a 2x4 rectangle tube frame. There's a 1-inch gap between the side and floor, so there's no place for water or manure to accumulate and rust. Big Ben trailers are loaded with standard features: a lever-action hitch, a 3-foot escape gate, and a middle sorting gate, rhino lining along the front edges, and a receiver hitch to tow another trailer, chute, or other equipment. Tough and practical. That's Big Ben Trailers. Designed and built by a working cattleman, you can rely on and trust Big Ben Trailers for their durability and convenient features. Reasonably priced for any rancher to afford. For a list of dealers and other design features, visit BigBenTrailers.com. Big Ben Trailers, built cattlemen tough. Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the premier cattle industry organization representing your best interests in Washington, D.C. and across the country.
I want to have my voice heard, and this is the strongest way I can speak it is through NCBA. And my little voice gets a lot of magnitude with this group.
Well, I've been an NCBA member for a long time. My family thoroughly believes in giving back to the industry that they make a living from, and you know, I've carried that on from generation to generation, and this is the organization of choice for the beef industry.
Every day, NCBA works to represent you on issues including trade, taxes, food safety and nutrition, animal welfare, and the environment.
The main reason I'm an NCBA member is to become engaged, more knowledgeable about everything that's going on in the beef industry.
It's easy to join NCBA. Just visit beefusa.org or call us at 1-866-USA-BEEF.
Welcome back. The 2010 NCBA trade show will have an amazing array of exhibitors. One of the exhibitors you'll see in San Antonio has a philosophy that life has enough headaches and your hat shouldn't be one of them. He's my friend Trent Johnson of Greeley Hat Works, and he's known the world over for his handmade cowboy hats. Cattleman to Cattleman headed to Greeley, Colorado recently to find out more about this 101-year-old business.
Hi, I'm Trent Johnson. Welcome to Greeley Hat Works. Let me tell you about my store. Well, it started out as Greeley Hat and Shine Parlor in 1909 in downtown Greeley, and it was started by two Greek brothers. I'm actually the fourth hat maker to own it, and I was an apprentice here for 3.5 years before I bought it. First thing is definitely very much customer based, is being able to talk to the customer about, you know, besides just color and style, but what's the function of the hat? How do they wear a hat? How are they going to use the hat? That only not helps us determine kind of how to build it, not just for dimensions and shape, but also helps us give recommendations and suggestions on what quality of hat they should get and why. We have got to build hats for lots of famous folks. Like I think the last 10 presidents of the NCBA, that was at the top, and then after that, you know, we got to do President Bush a few times. And then he hooked us up with some other people like Vladimir Putin and Secretary General of the United Nations, the Emir of Kuwait, Rudy Giuliani, lots of other people. Really, the importance of having something handcrafted, because, I mean, there are nice machine-made hats. I mean, a lot of the brand X type big box hat companies, they do have some nice products, but there's no ownership of that hat. I'm not running a factory here. My whole thing is about the ownership of the hat. So when an order comes in, whether it's an individual or a store, one of my guys or gals gets that order from start to finish, except for the parts, you know, like Sharon prints all the sweatbands and sews them together. But as far as building the hats, everybody gets and puts their initials in it. So if the customer's really happy, we know who built the hat. And if there is an issue, there's no passing the buck. It isn't like, oh yeah, processor number 14 forgot to do that part of the step. And we all take great ownership in being able to build good products. So one of the fun things about either, you know, coming into our store here in Greeley, visiting one of our retail partners, or finding us at a show on the road, is being able to help create your hat. You know, so in our store and a lot of our trade show displays, we have a lot of hats like these that are open and flat that haven't been shaped, and these are just waiting for owners to give them the character that they need. I mean, creases in hats are very personal. It's kind of an extension of your personality. So on this one, this is a nice light tan hat called this is called Sahara. This is a binding and a 12-line ribbon. This gives it a little bit of an Old West flair, but it's still a very functional hat. And then when you go in a little bit more contemporary, a lot of the newer hats have more of a shoveled or squared crease across here. Once again, now we've still got a ribbon band on here, but this is a kind of a spin-off of the open road type ribbon without the tails, something we call it a J-bow. But once again, the binding on most hats doesn't really serve a function as much as of a type of style. Now this is one of my most favorite colors. This is natural beaver. There's no bleach or dye. It's a very nice neutral color. It's the same color as dirt, and it'll go with anything your wife makes you wear. So this one is always a safe bet. Our buckle sets on all of our beaver blends and pure beavers are sterling silver, hand engraved, made here in the U.S. by Americans. I know it's a novel concept, but it still does happen. And then, as we were talking earlier about some of the upgrades, this is a finger carved sweatband, so it's all hand carved. We could put your name in there, we could put a brand or something. And once again, really doesn't serve a function, but it looks really nice and would definitely make any owner proud. Same quality as all of our other hats. The PBR line has a PBR buckle, PBR markings on the inside on the sweatband and the liner, but once again can be customized in 9 different colors and about any type of style. So a lot of what we see around the U.S., especially with national cattlemen's and more beef producers and farmers and ranchers, is more of a cattleman style. Once again, it's probably not out of function anymore as much as it used to be, but I mean, this is what Dad wore, this is what Grandpa wore, so it's going to kind of be your own type of family tradition. But we put lots of different spins on it and can make any kind of hat you'd like.
In San Antonio, be sure to visit the Greeley Hat Works booth, where you can check out their PBR line of cowboy hats and a whole lot more. To find out more about everything at the NCBA trade show, just visit beefusa.org. We'll be right back.
I'd like a moment with you cow-calf folks to talk about BQA, the Beef Quality Assurance Program. BQA has been designed to reduce bruises, blemishes, lamenesses, and impolite behavior in the calves you market. The point is to guarantee as best we can to our buyers and to consumers that we cattlemen know what we're doing, that we're treating our animals right, and the meat they buy is safe and wholesome. Now, most of the big feedlots and ranchers have signed on already, but that leaves the rest of us, and even if you only have 20 cows and a job in town, you need to be involved. Because every calf you sell is going to wind up on a plate someday, and we want our customers, all of them, to have a great dining experience, right? BQA helps furnish you with management tools and useful information to increase the value of your calves. So check it out at bqa.org and see what it takes to be involved in your state, because it's the right thing to do.
Trust. Out here, it's that rare combination of reliability, integrity, and the peace of mind that comes with having both. After 20 years of making hitches, the B&W Turnover Ball has become the most trusted gooseneck hitch in the country. Why is that important? Because trust is not only hard to earn, it's hard to find. The Turnover Ball Gooseneck Hitch by B&W. Trusted.
Beef Quality Assurance, BQA, is a program designed to ensure the consumer that your beef is safe and wholesome and of the highest quality, and it lets the buyers of your calves know that you know what you're doing. It's consumer friendly and can be a big part of giving them a great dining experience. So check it out at bqa.org and see what it takes to get involved in your state. Whether you got 15 cows or 1,500, it's the right thing to do.
How many of y'all have ever caught a rope under a horse's tail? You'd think an animal in the top 10 of intelligence would raise his tail and let it fall out. But they don't do that. As a matter of fact, they do just the opposite. There are strange tales told in the days of old when cowboys tested their luck. But the queerest portrayal of life on the trail was when Dunny ran off with the duck. The boys and I were driving steers up north and stopped at Heimer to rest the bunch and have some lunch and just restoke our primer. We tied our horses to the fence, commenced to telling whoppers, and thus inclined, we watched a line of ducks come hunting hoppers. Well, those ducks fell in behind our steeds and sorted through their droppings for bits of grass or oats they'd pass like barnyard fowl out shopping. Well, young Orville hefted up a duck, which kind of starts this caper. Behind unfazed, old Dunny raised his tail to break a vapor. Why people do the things they do remains a constant wonder. Like Orville there, saw tail midair and struck the duck up under. To say it took his breath away would sure describe old Dunny. And just as true, I reckon, too, that duck was breathing funny, because underneath old Dunny's tail, two wings protruded oddly and filled the air with flying hair. The racket was ungodly. You talk about a hissy fit. Both fur and fowl got ruffled. Above the din, the duck chimed in, although his quack was muffled. Well, old Dunny reared and broke his reins. The other horses bolted and ran askew while feathers flew like Pegasus had molted. I saw him top a distant hill, headed home in earnest. Like somewhere back, he'd been attacked by a drunken taxidermist. Well, young Orville took his chewing square, but we finally all deduced, by Josephine, We'd never seen one duck instead of goose. But what about the duck, you ask? Well, he didn't stay for dinner, so I don't doubt he stuck it out, or in, and rode on south for winter. This is Baxter Black from out there.
As always, thank you, Baxter, and we'll be right back.
From fresh tomatoes to potatoes and chicken to beef, we're as picky about our quality ingredients as you are. Because that's what we're made of.
Welcome back. Before we go, we want to tell you about a few special Cattleman to Cattleman events that'll be coming to you live from San Antonio. Joining me in the studio today are my partners in crime from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, Tom Field and Marvin Kokash. Tom, tell us a little bit about our live issues-based television show on Tuesday night.
Well, Kevin, as you know, issues continue to come at us just fast and furious, and we're excited to be able to bring a live show that will feature a lot of questions about trade, featuring Greg Dowd, who manages trade for our association, the great folks at USMEF, Phil Singh, Chandler Keys from JBS, and also the opportunity to talk about the whole D.C. environment with Colin Woodall and our D.C. team.
You bet. That should be an exciting one. And Wednesday night, we're going to be broadcasting 2 hours of programming.
Yes, and it is going to be a very exciting 2 hours because you never know where you're going to see your partners in crime. It's a big trade show, 260 exhibitors, and I probably will be with a mariachi band or at the Jack Russell Terrier races or driving around in one of those John Deere tractors that's going to be there. So, everybody got to tune in just to see really what will happen.
We're going to win $5,000 on America's Funniest Home Videos, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Tom, why do you think producers should attend the NCBA convention?
In today's business climate, this is no time to be on the sideline. It's time to be in the game. And if you're really serious about this business, this particular event is where you're going to get the best information, make the best contacts, and network in a way that will really advance folks' business at home.
Thank you. Again, you can see us live from San Antonio next Tuesday, the 26th, at our regular time slot at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and again on Wednesday, the 27th, from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you live from San Antonio next week.